And we are live. It takes a little bit, like a minute or so for people to stream in. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I am the Crypto Crow. I am here, excitedly so, with Sean Patrick Flanery, writer, actor, producer, just the guy does it all. And Sean Patrick Flanery, welcome. I'm so happy to have you.
Thanks for having me, brother. Appreciate the kind words, man.
I have to be honest. Flipping through Amazon Prime, and just the kind of the start of all of this. My wife and I are constantly looking for stuff to watch at night, and we're flipping through Amazon Prime, and I see Born a Champion listed on there, and I'm like, oh, cool, fight movie, right? I've got an MMA background. I was a promoter for 6 years, and did a lot of that. And my wife chuckles like, oh, great, here we go. By the end of the movie, we were both crying like babies. Okay. So I don't think another film has taken me the way this film did in over a decade. And I'm not kidding. This has to have been one of the most important projects of your career to date.
Yeah, I mean, I can say that without reservation. This is something that I wrote, way back in 2007, and it incorporates every important part of my world. And it's something that I wanted to put as authentically and as delicately as I could on the screen. So it's, I mean, at the end of the day, there's, every job you do, you want to put your heart into, but there's not a bigger part of my world and my heart in any film. It doesn't even come close as to this film. This is, this is one of those things that, I hope one day, my kids are proud enough to say, hey, my dad made this movie. And there's people that are gonna love you whatever you do, and there's people that are gonna hate you whatever you do.
Absolutely.
So I guess if I have to pick teams, I'm gonna go with the love team, man. I've had a lot of kind words about the film. I've made a lot of people angry about the film, believe it or not.
What?
I wish I could tell you different, but my social media inbox, there's made some people angry. There's a lot of things about the films that far outweighed by the good and the love. So, I mean, I'm tickled and I'm flattered, but the story, the message, all of that is something that I believe in from the deepest part of my heart. So I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you digging it, man.
I more than dig it, and I've had so many people that I know watch the movie. I've talked about this now a few times on my channel. Now, obviously, I'm more of a cryptocurrency kind of channel, but I like to share things that impact me on an emotional level. I like to share things. I watch this movie, and I always tell my viewers, I'm all about passion to profit. You find something that you're extremely passionate about, and with the belief that you deserve the promising rewards that may come with it, and you'll fight through the struggles, and you'll get there, you'll make it. It's a lot of trial and error, ebbs and flows, ups and downs. Your career, on the other hand, has been pretty solid, and so I look at what you've done, and I think this movie is a culmination of everything you've experienced, everything, like just your position in film. It did not even resonate with me until yesterday that you were in Boondock Saints, right? Which like when I'm watching Born a Champion, and that thought never even crossed my mind, but I knew I remembered you from something and I couldn't place it. And then I find out you were Powder, the movie that had me crying like every time you were on screen. And I'm thinking to myself, there's a pattern here. Is this guy just an emotionally driven actor? I mean, like, what? I'm curious what makes you pick the roles that you do. Now, obviously, Born a Champion is something that this is a passion project, like you said, from 2007 that you wrote, you co-wrote the screenplay, you led in it, everything. But other roles that you've taken, what kind of drives your decision to take on these roles? Because they just happen to be three of my favorite films ever.
Well, I'll give you a little insight as to the wizard behind the curtain. And I'm sure you can understand this from a business point of view. You know, I've never been a marquee player. I've never been an actor whose name warrants multiple offers from every film. I've always been a sort of a blue collar working actor. And I know from outsiders, you know, looking into the industry, if you've seen somebody that even did one film, most people out there think, oh, obviously he lives in Beverly Hills, he has $5 billion in the bank, and he's just turning down movies left and right. That couldn't be further from the truth. I've been a working actor since I first started. And at the end of the day, there are three reasons, myself and the vast majority of other artist actors that I know out there, that you do a film. You either do it because the material is overwhelmingly mind-blowing. You do it because there's amazing people involved, or you do it because there's a shitload of money. And oddly enough, you'd love to have two out of the three, but even that's rare. You do it usually because one. I'll be honest with you. At my level, and I'm certainly there are A-listers that get to pick and choose. They can say, "Hey, I want to do that script," and suddenly it gets funded, and you get a job, and you're off to the races. But for me, you know, if you get an amazing script, most of those jobs, they pay scale, and scale is less than I made as a waiter. Just to give you an analogy. Absolutely, I think scale is $2,500 a week, but after all of your fees, you can cut that by, obviously, you can remove 60% of that off the top. So, you know, when I'm thinking, when I was out in LA waiting tables at TGI Fridays, I had, you know, $6,000 months in cash. So, you know, just that's LA table waiting. Coming from Texas, I was filthy rich waiting tables. I had no idea that you could make that amount of money waiting tables, but Texas was a different thing. But so whenever you look at it that way, you know, the better the script, usually the less money that you're going to get offered. But, you know, if Martin Scorsese called me and said, "Hey, Flanery, I want you to do this movie. I'm not going to pay you anything, and I'm not going to let you read the script." Well, what do you think I'd say? I'd say, "Yes, sir. When do you want me there, and where is there?" Right. And I would get on a plane. Having said that, if I read a script that was obviously something that touched a nerve, I would want there to be a well-seasoned director, but there is a degree where it's so good, it almost doesn't matter. And you would do that for free. The other portion is like, I mean, it's a decent script, but holy shit, they're backing up a Brinks truck, which to me, that Brinks truck is about the size of a Hot Wheel car. It's not a full-size Brinks truck. So there's various reasons you do it, you know. I'd love to tell you that I get my choice and I can choose, but for the film Powder, I mean, I had a campaign for that. I read that, I fell in love with it. Mm-hmm. I thought that could be a career-changing film, which it ended up being, not in the way that I anticipated, but
in what way? The scene where you grab the deer and then grab the guy that shot it and transfer all the fear and everything. Oh my, that melted me. It absolutely melted me. But
well, I appreciate it. You know, and I'm incredibly proud of that movie. To me, those are the roles why you get into the business. You get into the role. You pack up everything that you own and you drive 3,000 miles away from what you know and you understand and your home to end up hopefully getting a role like Powder, in my opinion. And so I campaigned for that. I know they went through a laundry list of big names, and that's also one of the ways of Hollywood. You know, eventually, if enough people turn it down, it goes down to the people that actually auditioned for the role. And luckily enough, I got an opportunity to do that. As I said, it was one of the most pure, wonderful organic artistic experiences of my career. I won't go into a lot of backstory, but there was a lot of controversy about that whenever the film came out. So essentially I got kind of blackballed after that film for a while. You can go on a Google search and look at it, but it to this day, it's still nothing has tarnished that experience for me. There are a lot of things that came out about that I was completely unaware of. I found out that the day of the premiere, I looked out and I saw all these people holding signs, and I thought they were fans celebrating. Yeah, they ended up being people with picket signs protesting something, and it definitely altered the course of my career, and not in a positive way. It was before the internet, so yeah, you can look into it. But I'm still, to this day, I think it's a wonderful film. I wish more people had seen it. I'm incredibly proud of it.
I've seen the movie several times, and I've always loved that movie. I can't even imagine what anybody, I guess it's a good thing it didn't come out today then, right?
Well,
it'd probably be worse now.
Well, it actually had nothing to do with the actual movie. It just had to do with something extraneous from the actual final product. It's something I was completely unaware of as well. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. I don't regret having done it. Films like that, like I said, they're why you get into the business,
right?
Yeah. And I'm grateful to have had like a couple of those, but the vast majority, they're you have a family. You have to provide for your family.
Right.
If I only did films that I was in love with, I'd have done 5 films in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth. I know that's not to say that I agree to do things that I think are abysmal, but there's somewhere in between. You're like, okay, if we cast it right, and if we make choices along the way, maybe we could elevate this. And, there's a lot of variables that go into filmmaking, a lot of things that you can screw up, a lot of things that you can sometimes attempt to Band-Aid or correct.
Right.
But, that's the choice in navigating a career based on artistic choices. And, hey, I have bills to pay,
Well, luckily, you at least got Boondock Saints and then the sequel. And those are 2 films that I'm gonna be very blunt. I loved the first one a little more, but a friend of mine who when I was growing up, 18 years old, I was bouncing in bars, and a friend of mine, he ended up moving up to becoming a really, really good jiu-jitsu player, MMA fighter, ended up fighting for me when I was a promoter, and he recently passed away like a month ago. And literally, like, kind of, I don't want to say at his prime, but at a very, very good record, was still competitive. And his favorite movie was Boondock Saints. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure he modeled his style, his fashion sense, his attitude, just the way he was, whether it was natural or what, but he could have been in Boondock. He could have been the third brother. So the fact that watching Born a Champion, realizing, oh my gosh, you're from Boondock Saints as well, and then thinking about Mojo, it's such an emotional thing. Now, one of the things that I read recently about Born a Champion is that the love story that was what I found like pivotal to a large degree in the film was actually looked at as potentially not making it, that they wanted to add more fights and less of the love story.
Well, interestingly enough, there's in order to get a film like this financed, you have to sell the idea of it. And, there are a lot of what I think are antiquated views of storytelling. And a lot of people think, okay, well, is it a fight film or is it a love story? If it's a fight film, we need less love and more fighting. If it's a love story, we need less fighting and more love. I come from the concept of good, in the same respect as music. I don't really stick to a certain genre. I stick to good. I mean, there are things in country music that move me to tears. There are things in old school, soft, new wave that move me to tears. There are things in classic rock that move me away from zero. There's something in every genre. And in that sense, I look at a script. When I read a script or story, I just look at the speedometer. where did it take me? I don't really go in to go, well, it didn't have enough of that and enough of that. It either took you there or it didn't. And in my opinion, you know, when I wrote the story, I didn't really try to design it for a specific marketplace. I didn't try and think, well, I'm going to hit these notes because these are sellable notes. I tried to tell a story that I thought was worth telling. And in that respect, sometimes, you know, you have, you know, people that want a little bit of a more formulaic approach, and they want more spinning hook kicks, you know.
I will say that this movie was so jarring in good ways, but you know, my wife and I get a kick out of each other when we're watching something and we can predict what's coming or what's going to happen. It was impossible with this movie because things would happen and you're like, oh God, no. Oh no, that's no. And you know, it was like that through the whole thing. Nothing was predictable down to literally the last minutes, you know, and gosh, just what a damn good movie, dude.
Man, I appreciate it, brother. I really appreciate it, man.
So there's so much. Now this, to be honest, there were parts where my wife and I, because I know a lot of people, right? And for a minute, I actually thought that this movie could have potentially been about somebody I know. And because there were so many similarities, and his last name's Kelly, and I'm thinking, is this based on a true story or what? Because he goes back to the, you know, and it comes out, okay, I get it. I had to look it up and like, okay, this isn't based solely on a specific person, but man, some of the similarities were uncanny. But this actually, one of the things that I actually learned is I didn't realize that MMA, and to some degree, started in Dubai. That's been going on since before the UFC, because you and I apparently had the same reaction to UFC 1 when we saw it when we were younger, and we were like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. This is craziness. But this started before that.
Yeah, you know, I wanted to really trace accurately the lineage of how what we know of as MMA now used to be called NHB, no holds barred, which meant you and you go, and that was the sum total of the rules, which I thought was pure and very real. At our core, I think what we want to know is, like, if those two dudes met in an alley, what would happen? Right. Which one would walk out? The more rules you apply, the less that really ends up being true. So I mean, I understand, you know, coming from a civilized society, how we need to, you know, we need to make ourselves feel good about this test. But you know, I really wanted to show its origins, you know, how it started, and it did start. You know, I have people that send me a message, you know, I love the movie, but why did he fight in a gi in the beginning? It's like, because in the beginning, people wore the traditional attire from the martial art they represented. That's what happened. It wasn't until much later that they thought, you know, let's strip all this off. I don't want anybody grabbing. I don't want anybody touching. And with the rule system, but because that's how it was. And most of the players were older, because anybody that was that good at a martial art had to have spent a lot of years perfecting it and mastering it. There were no 19-year-old experts in any martial art, because most people got into it, you know, later in life.
Right.
So, you know, there are a lot of things that for a younger fan of MMA may not make sense, but if you go back to the roots, it all tracks pretty congruently.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember, I'm pretty sure it was Royce Gracie fought, well, he obviously fought in his whole gi, but didn't he fight a guy that wore one boxing glove? I don't know if you remember that.
Art Jimerson. Art Jimerson wore one boxing glove, yes. And he thought, okay, I want to be able to crack without breaking a fist, but I want to be able to grab
you, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because
Art Jimerson.
Yes, your memory is much better than mine, sir. You know, the older I get, the more my memory goes away. I only have so much room. But yeah, watching some of the old days of the UFC, I mean, you know, some of those fights, you know, like Royce and Frank or Ken, it went like 3 hours, I think, or was it Sakuraba? I can't remember. One of those fights went for hours, and it's like, okay, I'll turn this off and go eat and come back. But you know, listen, I can't stress enough to everybody out there. I mean, man, woman, sports lover, you know, the love story in Born a Champion really did kind of make me feel like Rocky and Adrian to a degree. You know, it was very just, it added so much to the film. I couldn't even imagine the movie being the same without it. So I'm very glad it all made the cut. Because listen, I'm a 7-foot monster. Okay, I'm a huge dude. I've got lots of tattoos, you know, but I love a good love story. I love The Notebook. I love all that stuff. And I'm a bit of a fighter if I need to be, and I consider myself very well-rounded. And this movie just captured everything in such a brilliant way that if every single person that sees this video does not run out and watch this movie, they are truly cheating themselves. Now
that's flattering as hell, bro. That's flattering as hell, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm not easily impressed by movies anymore, man. So I mean, that comes straight from the heart, and it's as real as it gets.
Well, I appreciate it, man.
I've got a question for you, just to entertain the audience a little bit. How familiar are you with blockchain, with cryptocurrency?
Well, I could not explain how the fuck it works to save my life, but I did. You know, if anybody out there believes in curses of one kind or another, I've got a little bit of a financial curse on me. I actually bought some Bitcoin.
Okay.
I want to say
you bought
I'm
it
guessing. I bought it incredibly low. This will give you an idea of how long. I bought it through, my wallet was called, I believe, Dwala, and I bought it through Mt. Gox.
Mount Gox.
Mount Gox. That's how
Okay.
MTGOX.
Yes.
And as you know, they got destroyed. But
right.
I would have had a considerable amount of liquid right now if that hadn't gone upside down. Having said
but
that,
they're
and
sending that back. They're repaying everybody still, I think, aren't they? Aren't you a part of that?
Not to my knowledge. I mean, I still have my code words and everything.
You might want to double check on that, brother, because I know that through the courts, they've been issuing repayments back to everybody that lost on that for years now.
Are you sure?
Yeah, how many Bitcoins you have there?
Well, brother, you know, we should talk offline because I mean, I'll give you my codes and my passwords. You can look into this if you know anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's common knowledge to a lot of people. It's in the news all the time, man. You need to get your money back.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it and see what I can do.
We'll talk about it. Anyway, after that, I bought Bitcoin. I have 3 cryptocurrencies. I have Litecoin, LTC. I have Ethereum, and I have Bitcoin. I don't have a ton of it.
So you've got first generation, a copy of the first generation, and then second generation crypto. You're missing one. You're missing the third generation.
No idea what it is.
We're gonna get you into Cardano. That's what you need to start picking up. No, not financial advice, but Cardano is the third generation that's going to change the world, man.
Whenever you're talking about generations, you've already lost me. Now I'll give you. I'll tie this to MMA for you.
Okay.
There is a forum called the MMA Underground.
Right. Yes, I'm familiar
with the MMA Underground. There was a thread long ago, like I'm saying 10 years ago, maybe 10 or 11, 12, whenever Bitcoin first came out. And you could probably archive this thread where they were talking this thing about Bitcoin, everybody buy. That's when I bought Bitcoin for the first time. Forgot about it until the whole Mount, I guess you're saying, Gox and the Dwala thing went upside down. And that's when I repurchased, when I saw, holy shit, how much these things are worth now.
Yeah.
So it was because of a thread on a fight forum that somebody was talking about investing in this, and that's when I invested.
So
and the thread was talking about
Mount
Gox. It was talking about because I still lived at so it had to be maybe at the latest 12, maybe at the latest 2012. At the latest.
Okay. Listen. So you're probably
making you as angry as
right
it makes
now, and you don't even realize it. Hey, if you cash out a few $1 billion and you come up with another movie and you need a 7-foot ogre, just let me know. So if we're looking at all times, back in 2012, Bitcoin was less than, well, 2013 it was $135 and it went up substantially more than that. So I'm guessing you probably bought some Bitcoin at what, like $30 a piece, something around there?
No, I bought it at right around 100. So that should tell you make 90 something bucks.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah.
Yep. And it's what, 50,000 today?
It's 48.6 right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, we
brother,
broke 50 and pulled back a little bit. So yeah, it's coming back. Yeah, we got to get you your Bitcoin because they were sued and they, there was an ongoing court case and it's been going on for years, and they've been making redemptions to people that basically lost Bitcoin and things like that due to the hack and what have you. So there's some chance that you've got some money sitting in there you don't even know. So yeah, good thing you did this whole interview, man. So, and then once we get that for you, we got to get it and get a little bit of that and put it into Cardano so that you're ready for the next generation, because that's, everybody calls me King Cardano. I'm a bull. I've been basically bullish on it since it was 13 cents several years ago, and it's closing in on $1. And I predicted it could very easily hit, $5 to $8, maybe even more by the end of this year. So, anytime moving forward, you ever have questions on blockchain, anything of that nature, just let me know. I'm more than here for you. Anything new coming up? Or anything that you can say, I guess, that everybody should be looking forward to?
As it sits right now, I'm in Canada. I'm here to shoot a TV show that's on Amazon Prime. This will be their 3rd season. And it's about superheroes.
No, dude. Are you kidding me? Are you going to be...
I can't say anything.
Can I say it? Can I say something? Can I speculate?
You can speculate, which I will remain completely composed.
If you're going to be on The Boys, I'm going to lose my shit. Because that's one show that we watch and I love, and I would love to, dude, you would be so great for this.
That's a good show, man. That's a good show. That's a very good show.
It's a very, very good show indeed, and I'm afraid it may have just gotten a lot better. Well, that's exciting. Because the way things ended in the last season, just speculating if this were to be the case, yeah, man, that's going to be big. So if you end up on The Boys, hypothetically speaking, and you end up Bitcoin rich again, that would be a really good year for you.
Man, I'll tell you, I have, if I look right here on the MMA Underground, let me see if I can actually bring up the thread, Bitcoin investing experiment, ask me anything. No, that was started in, let's see when that first started. That came around in 13. Yep, 12, 13. This is the thread right here.
Oh my goodness. Old school.
2013.
Wow, so you were an earlier adopter than probably most people on YouTube today.
But here's the thing. Even then, I mean, just from being a part of the forum, there were some guys that I thought, these people are incredibly smart.
Oh yeah.
It is a collective of some interesting minds.
Mm-hmm.
And reading these threads, I thought, this person is far more intellectual as far as math and how blockchain operates, and started talking about fiat and things that I understand,
mm-hmm.
and the problems with current currency and international markets, and it does make a lot of sense. The drawback I saw was, well, I don't know that any government is going to be parading or holding up something that they have zero control over, so that is a little bit of volatility, but it did seem like, if you can harvest this, but there is a finite amount of anything, what I do know is that if there is a finite amount of something, demand will increase and it will go up. And
right.
So I did buy some on that alone. And I couldn't tell you that I understand, the algorithm that is Bitcoin, but it intrigues the shit out of me. And, as an early adopter with the whole, what I thought was Mt. Gox, the whole Mt. Gox thing, when it went upside down and everything kind of vanished, it did scare me, but I went back onto that thread because I wasn't like daily looking at the thread. And this was when I repurchased, I want to say I repurchased at what was it? Maybe 5 years ago, it went down to like $4,000.
Right. Well, it just came down about 4,000. That was December of 2018, I think.
Yeah. Then it went up to 19, and then it crashed again. So it was before it went up to 19.
Oh, okay.
When it was before it went up to 19,
like
because I bought it. I bought it at about 4. And it went up, and I was like, whoa. And then it went all the way back down, and now it's on the rise again. So I never touched it. I mean, I got my Coinbase app here where I definitely look at my Coinbase and I go, oh, okay, here, this is what it's doing. But if I were to tell you that I understand if, what, where, and why, I don't.
Well,
it just seemed like an ingenious prospect.
I'll tell you a couple things real quick, just so maybe you understand things a little bit better. It is a cycle right now, because as adoption continues to add to it, it goes up and down, right? But what a lot of people thought, they hear, oh, Bitcoin, isn't that stuff that will drop like 85% and was a total sham? What people don't realize is it went up over 1,600% from the previous low before it dropped 85%. And it does that pretty much every 4 years. And so, it started at pennies, went up to 20 grand. Now it's at 50, may very well break 250,000 by the end of this year. And then it'll probably come back down, again, maybe not as much as it is normal because of all the institutions that have been investing into it. A lot of big corporations are putting, 5% of their treasury into Bitcoin, hedging it against the deflation of the US dollar. So we're seeing a lot more big corporations buying it and holding it and accumulating more, which is pushing the value up because the demand is going up with the retail market. There are more people holding it, so there's less available supply on exchanges. So now that's Bitcoin. Then you have Ethereum, which is kind of like Bitcoin, but it added smart contracts. Okay, so that was like second generation. Third generation is basically taking everything that was wrong with the second generation, fixing it, expanding on it, and making it better, more scalable, more interoperable, and more secure. That's why I've been such a bullish Cardano freak for years now. So we'll get you educated on the blockchain stuff, and see what we can do to help you get your stinking Bitcoin, man, because that's insane. If you bought it at that price, and did you ever hear about the $40 million pizza?
No.
So there was a guy, it's a true story. A guy was on like Bitcoin talk forums and basically posted out there, hey, I don't have any cash, but I've got some Bitcoin. I'll pay somebody. I don't remember how much it was at the time, but it was basically today's value of $40 million worth of Bitcoin for somebody to deliver Domino's to him. Yeah. So he basically paid $40 million for 2 Domino's pizzas at today's prices.
Yeah.
So listen, this has been such a pleasure, man. You are even cooler in person than I thought you would be. And when you said you'd come on, I'm like, this guy's a jiu-jitsu black belt. He's going to show, like, he's going to come on board, because there's just something to that. There's a certain mentality that goes along with, martial arts and achieving such a level, especially with the people that you've achieved them with. And I knew this was going to happen, and I was really excited, and I'm very grateful. And I'm even more excited now about Amazon Prime and what they've got coming, whatever that.
Well, I appreciate it, brother.
So
yes, whatever,
whatever that may be. Everybody, all you guys out there, and if you're watching this, you absolutely have to watch Born a Champion. It's available on Amazon Prime. You can buy it or rent it. I'm pretty sure. I know you can rent it, but I'm about to go
you
buy it.
You can rent it. You can rent it on every platform. I think it's available on demand, Apple TV, Amazon Prime, all of those streaming sites, and the DVD Blu-ray is available as well. For anybody out there, if you do happen to watch it, please send me some feedback. Let me know what you thought on any one of my social media accounts. It's like I said, this comes from my heart, and it means a lot to me. So please share your feelings, love it or hate it. You know, I'm not just looking for the people that loved it. So whatever you think, reach out to me and give me a shout.
And if you
and I do hope you enjoy it.
There's something wrong with you. Sean Patrick Flanery, thank you so much for joining me, man. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know you're busy out there working on your project. Hit me up anytime you need some crypto advice of any kind. And for the rest of you guys out there, thanks for joining us. Make sure you like the video, post your comments below. Let me know what a cool guy this is. And when you've watched the movie, let me know how much you love it. I know many of you have already been letting me know all over the place. So I'm glad I've been able to pull something out for you. Until next time, guys, crow your coins. I'll see you again very soon. Thanks for joining us.